Right here, right now, time. Time is very, very important when we're working with the body and looking at phenomenology. So phenomenology wants us really to look at what is happening in the present moment, right now. When you're with someone, when you're noticing someone, right now. So this is really going to mean stepping away often from what the person is verbally telling you. Often I find that clients, maybe if they're more narcissistic as well, they'll really pull me into their narrative, into their story. So it's harder for me to disconnect and look at what is happening in the here and now. So this is the work, coming back to the here and now. So often I'm going to be asking you to disconnect from the listening, from the story, from their role within that. And maybe even slowing the client down and taking them away from the narrative and bringing them back into the here and now. So just for me to say that, how is that for you? So to come away from their powerful narrative that they're paying you to listen to, what's going on for them right now. Bringing them back to the here and now. So Daniel Stern suggested in his book, The Present Moment in Psychotherapy and Everyday Life, that we begin to look at psychotherapy differently through a magnifying glass. I'm thinking of Alice in Wonderland here with a big clock and the rabbit and a magnifying glass of the present moment. So he challenges the whole psychotherapy profession by powerfully questioning, why then has a unit consisting of the subjective now not played a more central role in our psychologies? So he also said that, in short, and this is in 2004, so nearly 20 years ago, and he's angry here, right? He's fighting this because he was being fought back by people saying that you should just lie on the couch and speak and listen and not connect. So in short, until recently, mainstream academic psychology has paid little attention to the nature and structure of the present moment. And it is psychology's new alliance, it was new 20 years ago, with neuroscience that has changed and led to a more fruitful movement that is now taking place. That fruitful movement is gone. Then Bezel's books come out and it's gone like this, which is brilliant. Okay, why is it brilliant? Again, it's so, as therapists, as humans, as people, as friends, we can start to talk about this, like what's going on? Why have I come out with eczema, right, related to stress? Why is the doctor telling me to have my gallbladder scanned? Well, it's what's going on in your life that's stressing you out. No, you don't need an operation. Let's look at some other interventions first around wellness, making you safe, and then let's monitor it. Let's see what your body is telling you rather than just medicating. That's why it's exciting. So Stern actually encountered so much resistance. And again, so this was in the 90s, early noughties. And I'm bringing attention to this conflict because from when Edmund Husserl and Merleau-Ponty were talking about flesh, heart of the world, the unconscious, right, coming through and we're noticing it, yeah? It's sort of all in the mainstream went a little bit quiet and went a bit Freudian where everyone, horizontal conversations, what's happening, let's just talk about it, bit of head nodding, right? No, there's far more healing than this. And also that was often for people who were paying for therapy, or unless people were really ill, if they were sectioned and put in hospital. And therapy's still hard to get, especially after the pandemic. There's a 2-year waiting list for therapy. What? And that's for people in crisis. Come on, we've got to learn about this stuff now to be well. People are learning about it. The wellness community. I'm working with people in crisis and recovery, and they are showing up to yoga. These are people who wouldn't go to a regular yoga class, and they're already doing the Wim Hof breathing, and they're working on the body. They know this is making them feel well. Wonderful, wonderful. So really there is a movement here between something quite rigid, Freudian, to something moving. So today it feels absolutely healthy and normal to integrate body. You know, GPs are prescribing that people go to the gym and do movement to stay well for mental health. But without the science, there was no credibility for this. And thank God we have the science. Years ago, we used to think that the brain was just grey matter. Tap, tap, tap. Now we know that the brain is like plastic, like Play-Doh, right? And we can start at any age to improve the plasticity of our brain by moving, okay? So, and again, it does make me laugh that there's a lady called Babette Rothschild who's wonderful in this area of body work, and I really like her energy. I'll put a little picture of her in here. And she said that until Bezel's book, everyone just thought body psychotherapists were a bunch of woo-woo hippies. Love that. Okay, so a quick summary on this section of phenomenology. We are focusing on the here and now, not the narrative, not the story, what is going on right now. Just take a breath. And I'm going to encourage you, rather than being pulled into your client's narrative or mirroring them, can you sit back and can you take a breath? Can you breathe? We're also looking here at the unconscious, what is going on in that shadow, that bag that we carry over our shoulder full of shadows and all that stuff, and how our body is showing to us indirectly by bringing this into awareness, the true self. Okay, what are we starting to notice here? What is being expressed indirectly? Also our own noticing. So I'm inviting you here, if you like, and when you feel ready in your work, to increase your awareness. You're noticing your client's body. Initially, maybe it's the larger, more mechanical movements, client's body. Then more subtly looking at their breath, pace. And I need you to sit back and breathe rather than being engaged and copying and moving and all of this. The client will just sit and talk about themselves. It's okay. Can you sit back and notice what's going on? Yeah, where's your noticing going up of the other person? Maybe of yourself, okay? So I notice in my own work that, and where this really started to correlate for me as data, where I was seeing this happening again and again, was with clients who had experienced trauma, awful traumatic lives, addiction, abuse, that I would see this manifesting in bodily illness that would often come with a diagnosis, but there was a link between their trauma, what had happened, and how this was manifesting in their body. I have one client who, when he is having an episode, when he's having a bad time, this young man would walk into the room as if he'd had a stroke. Yeah, as if he'd had a stroke. I was working with other people who've been in really abusive situations, often as children, and they would be they'd look 20 years older than they are. Their bodies were 20 years older. Their bodies were riddled with illness. Often coming with, a wheelchair, a mobility scooter, and these labels and diagnosis and boxes of tablets and medicine. But I would see it manifesting in their bodies. And this is the data that I want to start, I'm encouraging you to start noticing in your work. Okay, so I hope this was useful, and I look forward to seeing you at the next video.